Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagura TV, and in this video I'm talking about my theory of why Starfield wasn't announced at Bethesda's E3 press conference in 2017. The reason I'm making this video is because a few days ago, as the time of recording, Pete Hines took the stage in Los Angeles at the E3 press conference for Bethesda, and took the stage, and you know, everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people, a lot of hardcore Bethesda fans, especially viewers of this channel, myself included, were expecting a Bethesda Game Studios related game to be announced at this year's press conference. I thought it was going to be Starfield. I said in the video previously that I was 99.9% sure it was going to be Starfield. I couldn't have been more wrong. The 0.1% came true, as I've said before. Terrible prediction by me. But the reason, I'll go into really what Starfield is for people who don't know. Maybe this is the first video of the channel that you've checked out. And basically, Todd Howard has said in an interview last year actually that Bethesda Game Studios are working on 2 new projects before The Elder Scrolls 6. So there's 2 new Bethesda-styled games, different than anything they've done before, are going to be coming out before The Elder Scrolls 6. And one of them was highly anticipated to be Starfield. And Starfield, if you didn't know, was something that's maybe been leaked, quote-unquote, for something that that popped up really from the trademarks that Bethesda renewed of something called Starfield, which has actually been renewed a couple of times actually by Bethesda themselves, and everyone kind of thought that this was going to be the name of the game for the next Bethesda related thing, which is going to be a space-like shooter, an open world RPG. There's been a few kind of leaks and a few signs that, you know, Starfield was going to be a thing. Leaks, obviously, something you've got to take with a pinch of salt, but there's a lot of smoke around this, and there's no smoke without fire, that they say that Starfield was going to be a thing. And then, as well, you know, with the Bethesda pre-show images that they put out, there's a few stars right around, and there's like literally a field of stars behind Pete Hines at the Bethesda stage. And I had a theory, you know, I was pretty confident that Starfield was going to be announced this year, because, you know, Bethesda Game Studios, Todd Howard, the main developer there, said we're going to hear about them much more regularly, from hearing about, you know, the games that they've got coming out, and hearing from them a lot more than what we have in the past, when it comes down to their major game releases. And which was, you know, something that got me personally really excited about seeing Bethesda Game Studios do something new. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and I love the Fallout series as well, but hearing Bethesda Game Studios step into a new area was something that got me really pumped. So when it came down to Starfield, I was obviously pretty excited to hear about what the game actually was, or what I think the game was. You know, obviously Starfield is something that I honestly think is going to be the next game, but you know, like, there's been nothing confirmed by Bethesda that this is the next game, or anything from Bethesda Game Studios. But the reason why I think that Starfield wasn't announced at E3, because, you know, if you remember, if you did watch the show, Pete Hines, they had the basic, he was on stage twice. He was on stage at the beginning, and he was on stage to wrap it up. You know, whereas like in the 2016 press conference, he was on stage a few times and took us through a load of different stuff, and was on stage for actually quite a while in 2016. And then in 2015, again, he was on and off introducing people and stuff like that, and a very traditional way to do a conference. Whereas this one was kind of like on stage, show the video, and then come off again, which was very kind of anti-Bethesda in their E3 press conferences, because normally, well, in the first 2 that they've done, they've ended off with the show with the lead developer coming out with their major flagship game, coming on stage and basically presenting the game to the world. You know, Todd Howard presented Fallout 4 for around about 30 minutes, taking us through a load of different stuff on it, showing us different trailers, showing us what we can do in the game, showing us the new settlement system and everything. And a similar thing with Dishonored 2, where came out on stage, and one of the lead developers of the game at Arcane Studios come out on stage, took us through Dishonored 2, showed us some of the locations, showed us what we can do, some new abilities, really the start of the story as well, and the Kraken and Slab mission as well. And you know, it was a really cool method of doing it, and I really liked seeing that stuff, because I like looking deep into Bethesda's main flagship game as a Bethesda fan, and I really liked that. And the way the conference was kind of set up was that was going to be the case again this year, that after Wolfenstein was done, their trailer was done, Pete Hines come out on stage, and I think everyone was kind of expecting him to, you know, bring Todd Howard out on stage and then really talk about the new flagship Bethesda game. And I was pretty confident that Starfield was going to be announced before the conference started, but I was even more confident in the pre-show, when the pre-show image was literally loads of stars shooting around, very spacey, a real kind of space theme going along with the carnival theme as well, a lot of stars, literally a field of stars was the background image, and I had a countdown like a rocket when Pete Hines was talking, there was a lot of stars behind him. It was very star focused, you know, a lot of stars. So it was I was pretty confident that literally Todd Howard was going to come on stage and show Starfield, or Starfield was going to have a trailer or something like that. But it doesn't seem, well, it didn't happen, you know, it doesn't seem to be the case. It didn't happen, you know. The show ended, I thought, yeah, they're going to bring it back and like be a way of trolling everyone, but no, like, the show ended and there was no Starfield there at the show. And the reason for that, I think, is because Starfield's not coming out this year, which we can clearly see now, because when Bethesda showed everything at the showcase, everything that was on stage, everything that was there, was coming out this year. But basically, Pete Hines said at the end of the show, his last line was, everything that you've seen at tonight's showcase is coming out in 2017. So my theory that I said in the previous video, which I'm going to go more in depth in now, was that I think that the plan was to get Starfield out this year. I think they really wanted to get Starfield to come out this year. They was going to use that carnival image that they've got and maybe pan up into the sky and show a new under construction thing with Starfield there coming out of it, and then go along with the space theme as well with all the stars and everything. But it must have been close to the conference. Like, after everything was booked and planned and everything, Bethesda Game Studios must have gone, like, we're not going to be able to get this game out this year without it being a complete mess. We need a few more months at least, maybe even a year, to just sort this game out and get it into a reliable state so it's not going to be a buggy mess again. We've got a lot of shit from, you know, our games being buggy in the past. We can't be dealing with that again. You know, we need to have more different kind of reaction to our game when it comes down to the polish of them. The polish of our games has been poor in the past. We need to sort it out, so we're not going to be able to get the game out this year. And then I think, you know, the marketing team at Bethesda went down to this decision to kind of maintain their image of announcing games with short marketing cycles. You know, like all the games that have been announced this year are coming out this year, like they said. And having one game kind of as an anomaly of that is something that, you know, is pretty, you know, will be weird at the end of it. Like, oh, they had this one game that's not going to be there, that's not going to be out this year. So I think they maybe made the decision to cut off that end of the show and just have it end with Wolfenstein, which, if that's the case, then I think we can maybe say that we could applaud Bethesda for that, because at the time, you know, I said in the video as well that in the video after the E3 reaction, I would have very much liked just a Starfield trailer just to kind of keep me, just to know, yes, they're making it and it's coming out next year. But then that's just not Bethesda. Then that's making me a massive hypocrite, because I would say, you know, this is not what Bethesda are used to. I thought Bethesda were about the short marketing cycle thing, and they're not doing that there. So that would make me a massive hypocrite. Whereas now I'm thinking, you know, yeah, announce the game when it's fucking ready. Like Todd Howard says, you know, that they should do it. And if that's a year's time, let it be a year's time. If it's 2 years' time, let it be 2 years' time. There's no point announcing the game at the end of a conference just because they needed to make the conference good, kind of thing. You know, announce it when it's ready. And I've kind of really wallowed down onto that. You know, I was disappointed that it wasn't announced this year. I wanted the game to come out this year, as you can imagine. But if they've pulled it back because the game isn't ready, I think that's, you know, pretty much the case. And there was a guy in the comments that agreed with me, thinking that, yeah, it felt weird, that they felt a little something missing from this conference, that something was pulled. And Pete Hines has said that nothing was pulled from it. I personally don't believe that, if I'm going to be honest with you. I do think, just judging by the amount of stars that was around the place and everything, and it was just so hinty and winky to space stuff, and that would have been wrapped up so well if they had like a space game being announced at the end of the show, that it would all kind of wrap up with all the star stuff and everything. And there's a shooting star at the Bethesda Land thing as well. I just personally think that Starfield was meant to be at this show. I just honestly do. Like, let me know what you think if that was going to be the case, because that would have been such a good way to end the conference. Then I think we all would have stepped away and gone, yeah, that was a great conference. It was a great surprise at the end for the general gaming audience. It wouldn't have been a surprise for, you know, subscribers or viewers of Bethesda YouTube channels, because there's been a lot of like talk about Starfield, you know, and it wouldn't have been a surprise for us. But for everyone else in the general gaming market, that would have been a big surprise for a new IP for Bethesda Games, and it would have been great. But, you know, it wasn't to be. It just ended with Wolfenstein, and for us, there was no real surprise. There was no surprise there. Everything that was there was pretty much expected, which was kind of a disappointment. And I just, at the end of the day, believe that if they have pushed the game back, like, then when is the game going to come out? Is it going to be a full year till they wait to E3? Is it maybe going to come out early next year and they're going to announce the game at QuakeCon because they didn't want it to go with that whole E3 thing of, you know, not announcing that whole E3 thing that they had of, you know, just not announcing Starfield, that was going to be an anomaly to the 2017 thing. There's a few people on the Bethesda Starfield subreddit that has been made, pretty much a conspiracy theory subreddit, which I love delving into, that said that they could announce the game later on to come out early next year. I'm going to take a limb and say I think that they probably have got an extra year to really knuckle down on the game, and then I think we'll hear about it at E3 next year now. If we don't hear about it at E3 next year, then I am going to think, like, what's really going on over there, like what... They've expanded the size of their team to kind of do more stuff and they said they're busier than ever now and all that good stuff. Then why kind of, like, can't we maybe see it, like, hear about their major gains a bit more frequently? Because that's what they said they wanted to do, and then that wouldn't have been the case. That won't be the case if we're having to wait another whole couple of years for the game to come out. But I do think the game will be out next year, and again, you know, I could definitely be wrong. I thought the game was going to be out this year at starters, but it's not going to be. So we'll have to wait and see about that from. But what do you think about my Starfield theory that it was meant to be announced at this year's show, but it wasn't? Are you disappointed that it wasn't announced? Obviously, I think a lot of people are disappointed with Bethesda's conference this year. But let me know what you guys think. Please comment in the description, in the comments box below, and subscribe if you're interested in more Bethesda content. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.